How's it going, y'all? Before you click away, this is not a video where I just sit at a desk and talk about an area. We go out there, we show you around everywhere. Usually at the beginning of these videos, I am in the area, talking about the area, but I already shot that and I had something on my face and I found it so distracting. So I'm reshooting it in the shop. Today's video is a virtual tour of Sunnyside, Denver, a very, very, very nice neighborhood within Denver proper. We just actually helped somebody buy a home there, so I thought, hey, I should probably shoot a video for there. People are digging it, and yeah, I dig it. All right, Sunnyside, Denver virtual tour, hit it. How's it going, y'all? My name is Jesse Lynch and I run the hardest working real estate team in the game. We're called Welcome to Denver, but this YouTube channel is all about helping you find a place to call home here in the beautiful Denver metro area. And that is whether you're buying a house for the first time or relocating here from a different country, city, state, or planet. First time home buyers, relocations, that is what we do. And that's what we do better than anybody else. So if either of those things appeal to you, do us both a favor, subscribe to this channel, click that little bell to get notified, give this video a thumbs up. I would appreciate that very, 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 very much. And as always, say anything you desire in the comments, and I would appreciate that very, very much. And as always, if you're thinking about moving here to the beautiful Denver metro area, then do whatever you can to get a hold of us. Basically, two very slick options. Go to our website, welcometodenver.co. We have a contact form there. It's a piece of cake, fill it out, we will get back to you. Or just shoot us an email at info@welcometodenver.co. They both lead to exactly the same spot, if I'm being totally honest, which is us, and we will absolutely kill it for you, promise. Right now, I'm in Chaffee Park. I think that's how you say it. There's all these names that I've only ever seen written down, and I don't know if I've ever heard anybody actually say them out loud. Chaffee Park. It's a great little neighborhood park, kind of just nestled into the middle of the Sunnyside neighborhood. Right over here, you have some commercial spaces, you have the Monkey Barrel, and then, you know, pretty much all over here is very residential stuff. We actually just closed on a home for some folks. We're moving here in Sunnyside. It's a beautiful home and in a great little spot, and it got me excited about Sunnyside, so I was like, all right, we got to make a video on that and kind of show people around, because it is really great. All right, let me just show you around Sunnyside. Go. All right, y'all, right now I'm in a neighborhood that I think does a good job of sort of summing up the housing stock that Sunnyside has to offer. Sunnyside is going to have a pretty substantial mix of historic bungalows and sort of cute, cozy, craftsman style homes, but then also more and more, and in certain areas, you're going to see new builds with like a very, you know, Denver modern style. You're gonna find a lot of houses, you know, with cute little porches like that. And then right behind me here is gonna be either more, you know, modern, minimalist design. And right next door to that as well is something very, very similar. I think a big reason for the blend of those houses, both new and old and renovated and not renovated as well, is that it is very much like an up and coming neighborhood. I would say it's mostly arrived from just being like livable and, I don't know, having like cool stores, cool shops, cool restaurants, and being like trendy. So in that regard, I feel like it has arrived. But all of the homes are, again, a big blend. You're gonna find a huge range of house prices. Basically, on the low end, maybe like $450, maybe somewhere around there. But it's gonna be a small bungalow that could use some renovation. And then on the high end, you know, you can find a house for 1.5 here. Okay, here's kind of another townhome situation. Denver does that very well. Basically, putting in sort of multifamily townhomes, condos into these, you know, otherwise very single family home oriented neighborhood. And like a modern aesthetic is not weird at all to see in Denver right next to some craftsman thing. Here's a very good example. Okay, very modern house, you know, almost like southern looking Victorian era home. But I think that honestly, if it was just one in the middle of nowhere, you know, one modern home, I think it'd be really odd. But it's more and more common to see now, and because of that, it almost adds to the charm. Now, geographically speaking, Sunnyside is basically just to the north of Highland. And I think part of it being the path of progress is that Highland is getting very expensive. It has been very expensive for a while. But folks who want to live in Highland, but maybe can't quite afford it, see Sunnyside as like, well, it's right next door. Lifestyle can't be that much different. And it's kind of true. It is a little less close to downtown and maybe like a little less happening, but just barely. In the sense that there's not like the downtown vibe. There's not the views of Highland. It's maybe a little bit less apartment-y or condo based and a lot more single family home based. That I think that sort of lends to a chillness that you get here in Sunnyside that you don't get as much in the Highland neighborhood. And so, you know, it's just to the north of Highland. And then geographically speaking, as far as the borders are concerned, to the north you have I-70 and then the Chaffee Park neighborhood, not the park itself, that is within Sunnyside for whatever reason. To the east you have Inca Street and the Globeville neighborhood. To the south you have West 38th Avenue and the Highland neighborhood. And to the west you have the Berkeley neighborhood and Federal Boulevard. You're anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes to downtown Denver, and maybe even closer if you're kind of on the southeast like border. It's pretty close, and there are some very cool views as well of downtown. And then you're maybe 25 to 30 minutes from the Denver airport, pretty conveniently located. There's very good highway access and all that. A couple places that maybe it like aren't as desirable, and we can talk about this a little bit later as well, but the schools are just okay. More or less, you're getting an average of a C+ across the schools here, and I tend to think that that will improve over time as the neighborhood becomes more established. I think it's just a matter of time before the money gets allocated into schools. Actually, the highest graded schools in this neighborhood are the high schools. Specifically, we're talking North High School and Denver Montessori, which is a junior and high school. Those actually both get a B-. But then once you go to middle school and elementary school, they start to dip for the most part, with one exception, which is Skinner Middle School actually gets a B+. But you have Strive Prep, which gets a C, that's a middle school, and the two elementary schools that serve this area get a C and a C+. So again, not that great yet, but I think you're seeing kind of a younger population move here who maybe they don't have kids yet, but I think it's just a matter of time for a bunch of them to start having kids. And then the schools get better and better here because people are starting to pay pretty good money to live here for the sort of social amenities and the restaurants and all that. And as far as housing goes, I know I already kind of talked about the span. Just like statistically speaking, you're looking at a median price of just under 700,000, which for the Denver metro area, not terrible, as the median sits somewhere around 650 right now overall. But again, you can get into a single family home. It's probably gonna need work for maybe 400K on the very, very low end. And then a condo cheaper than that, but you could also spend probably 2 million fairly easily as well here. But all right, let's go for a ride, shall we? Right behind me is the Radiator. It's this very cool cafe, just corner cafe. They do some, I think, wood fire stuff right here. And then just like a couple blocks that way is another corner that's just absolutely filled with commercial space and all that. And then as I head this way, it just becomes residential. And that is kind of the vibe of overall, over and over again within the Sunnyside neighborhood. Is you get commercial on corners, or maybe like a block or 2 blocks of commercial, and then, you know, nice quaint little residential stuff. But let's talk pros and cons of living here in the Sunnyside neighborhood. And first of all, I'm just gonna say cool, like semi-urban, I guess it's pretty urban, but semi-urban lifestyle and neighborhood, right? So it's just like what I said earlier, that sort of combination, that walkability to, you know, grab a coffee or lunch or brunch or a dinner spot or whatever, combined with, you know, the single family homes that are like right there, or like a beautiful townhome. Look at that, that's a beautiful modern townhome, and it just works here. You wouldn't, almost just wouldn't think that that would work, that something like that right next to some old bricky, you know, I don't know, it doesn't make sense, and yet it does make sense. So I guess I'm gonna wrap the, you know, next pro into that, which is basically a lot of really great restaurants, bars, cafes, coffee shops, that kind of thing. There are tons of them here, and all super walkable, which actually I think my next pro is that it's super walkable, super bikeable. It's like a small enough neighborhood that a person could get by for, you know, a large percentage of their day-to-day life without necessarily needing a car, or, you know, with just walking or biking around. Next pro for me is going to be the sort of diverse housing stock, and I'll elaborate on this a little bit more, but there is such a huge range of, you know, house prices here. I talked about it earlier. On the low end, 400K. On the high end, 2 million, right? And there's a blend of single family and sort of townhomes. And yeah, it's pretty accessible for a lot of folks, depending on what you need out of a neighborhood. And then, you know, I feel like there's this outdoor lifestyle here, whether it be, you know, one of the few parks here that are all pretty great, actually, seem to be very well maintained, or, you know, like the outdoor patio at a restaurant or cafe or whatever, like the just, you know, ability to spend a lot of time outside, because, you know, this neighborhood sort of lends itself to that. You know, again, the walkability, just the outdoor lifestyle here is cool. And obviously I don't mean like, you know, you're gonna go skiing or snowboarding here or anything like that, but in general it is just outdoor friendly, and I appreciate that. And then the last pro, there's more, but the last pro that really sort of sticks out to me is that it is very much in the path of progress. And so I think it lends itself to be a very solid investment. If you're buying your principal home here, I think you will find pretty solid appreciation in this area, because so much of the houses, the cheaper houses here, are getting purchased, renovated, and then the value goes up, and so does to the whole neighborhood. But I think a different side of that same coin is the first con, which it is the path of progress, right? So for one, you're gonna find a decent amount of like renovations going on, which maybe that's annoying, but to me that's not that big of a deal. But you will find some homes that have not yet been converted through that path of progress, right? You will find homes that are less well taken care of than others, and there just are sections of the Sunnyside neighborhood that just haven't really caught up or aren't quite within the path just yet. But I truly believe, just give it time, and the whole neighborhood will be, because there's so many good things. Another pro, actually, let me step back, convenient to downtown. It's so close. 10-15 minutes to downtown. That's hard to beat. Next con is the schools. Schools are just okay. I talked about it earlier. You're looking at like an average of like a C+ here. It's just okay. There are some schools that are better than others. Look how nice this house is, by the way. That's beautiful. Very nice renovation of an older home. But I think in the same sense that the investment of buying the home here will eventually pay off, I suspect that the schools will eventually catch up to the home prices, or just again the path of progress. Next con for me, and this is maybe my least favorite part about this area, but the northern edge and the eastern edge is pretty industrial, and it's just, I don't know, not that aesthetically pleasing. As you get closer to I-70 or on the eastern edge, Inca, there's a big train track there as well. So yeah, there's just like a little bit of like industrial ugliness going on there. So not my favorite part. And then I would say the last three cons are pretty much just in line with the fact that it is like a city neighborhood within Denver proper. So first of all, if you have a garage, which not even every house has a garage, but if you have a garage, there's a good chance that it's going to be detached in the back, accessible by way of an alley. And then second to that is you're going to find generally smaller homes. At least the older homes are going to be smaller. There are some, maybe 2,000 square foot homes, but even that is going to be a little more rare than maybe the 1,000 to 1,500 square foot home. Unless, of course, you get one of these newer built, the scrapes or something like that, or something that's been renovated and added on to, then you can definitely find some pretty substantial homes here. But the yards are going to be pretty small no matter what. To find a big lot here is basically going to be impossible. You're probably looking at a 1/10 of an acre, probably on average around here, which, if you want a bunch of land or a big old backyard, it's just going to be a little bit harder to come by. And then lastly, pretty much there's a lot of street parking. I think most people expect that in these city neighborhoods, but some people don't, and it's just not for them, and I can appreciate that. But yeah, just know that people park all up and down the streets here, and either that's going to absolutely bug the heck out of you, or you're not going to care because you are like, well, yeah, that's what people do in the city, All right, let's go for a drive. All right, y'all, I'm in yet another little kind of pocket of Sunnyside here. This one is a little more classic, just bungalow, super cute, and still super walkable, nice and quiet. And if you like what you see here in Sunnyside, there's a couple other spots I'm going to recommend that you check out. First of all, I would say Highland comes to mind instantly. A lot of people who live here in Sunnyside, maybe their first choice was Highland, right? And then I think it doesn't take much of driving around here to go, oh, this is pretty similar. It's got a lot going on for it as well. That squirrel scared me. I thought something was falling on me. And again, it's like right next door, So definitely check out Highland if you like what you see here. It's going to be a little more expensive, but maybe a little more happening, a little more in the hustle and bustle. Next up, I'm gonna say check out Jefferson Park. Jefferson Park to me is just like almost like a junior Highlands, but Jefferson Park is pretty much entirely scraped at this point, right? So you're not going to find sort of the character of the homes that you're going to find here quite as much. It's going to be largely new build stuff and a lot of townhomes and condos. But again, somewhat similar in its like youthfulness and walkability. And then next up on the list, there are basically two places that come to mind where if you like kind of the aesthetic of this area, but maybe you want it a little more complete, a little bit less the path of progress, and a little quieter, right? Like maybe just a little bit more of a like strictly neighborhood. First of all, I would say Wash Park. Wash Park comes to mind anytime anybody wants like a very nice neighborhood. I love Wash Park. There's a lot of beautiful historic homes and some of the scrapes, but I think the homes in Wash Park were very nice to begin with, and so you're less likely to see a scrape. Speaking of scrapes, boom, see what I'm talking about? And then right across the street, little bungalow. They're everywhere. So definitely check out Wash Park. And then the other one that comes to mind is Congress Park. Congress Park has a lot of the same qualities of Wash Park, but it is considerably cheaper. And instead of being on the northwest end like I am in Sunnyside right now, you're actually on the northeastern side of Denver proper when you're in Congress Park. But no matter what you're thinking, no matter what areas sort of appeal to you, just get a hold of us and we will absolutely help you fill that gap between a curiosity about a neighborhood and ultimately buying a house there. So however you want to get a hold of us, two very easy ways. Go to our website, welcometodenver.co. There's a contact form there, or shoot us an email at info@welcometodenver.co. They both lead to the same spot, and we look forward to hearing from you very, very much. And as always, as you exit the video, please do so safely. Subscribe to the channel, click that little bell to get notified, give the video a thumbs up, and leave any comment at all. You can say whatever you want. I would truly appreciate that. Engagement is very helpful for the channel and ultimately helpful for folks like you who are thinking about moving here to Denver or first-time home buyers here. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this is helpful. I can't wait to see you in the next one. This has been Sunnyside, Denver, one of the best little neighborhoods in all of Denver. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.